What's up, folks? I was gonna wait to do this later, but then I realized um, I don't need to wait till daytime because the world is in darkness. So what more poetic time to make this video than in the middle of darkness itself? So yeah, imagine a dark shore with a raging storm, the ocean waves crashing, and there's a ship about to be wrecked. And you could call this ship a citizen ship. You can call this ship uh, a dependent relationship that has been built up to the government, to pharmaceutical industries, to big corporations, to big agricultural corporations, to anything you can really imagine, to curriculum, to industry, to the so-called progression of science. You know, uh, there needs to be light in all this darkness somewhere. In all this doom and gloom, in all this degenerative practice that's going on around us, there has to be an answer. And for so many years, we always look for an answer. We've looked for an answer outside of us. We've waited for disclosure. We've waited for crashes. And I'm sure that stuff will come. But we have to realize that the light, that the house built on solid rock, that the lighthouse that's going to get you out of this crashing against the shore, right? That's going to get you out of this save our ship, save our souls, you know, this unsteady waters. That lighthouse, that light is in you. So, when we talk today about Operation Lighthouse, I want you to realize it's not just about my movement. Operation Lighthouse, what is it about? It's about everyday living. It's about everyday conduct. It's about what am I putting in my body. It's about what's the content that I'm consuming with all my senses. What am I, drowning my senses in? Where am I spending my time? Where am I spending my effort? Where am I spending my energy? Where am I spending my money? Where am I putting my life force into? These are the questions that you should be asking when you bring up the words Operation Lighthouse. Because again, in this dark world, we're the only hope. The people that have no choice but to be aware, we are the only hope. Because everyone else is choosing. Everyone else is choosing not to see. And very few of us realize you can't choose not to see. Once you see it, it's done. It's over. Once you see that chart, once you see, carnivore, herbivore, omnivore, and frugivore, once you see our anatomic construction, once you realize that you have to eat consistent to your genetics, consistent to your DNA, once you see that the indigenous ancient native diet is what healed the nation, is what brought the herbs, is what brought the fruit, the food. Once you see that ancient native and indigenous agriculture, which is the last piece of the puzzle of Operation Lighthouse, rediscovered by Masanobu Fukuoka, natural farming, do-nothing farming. I sometimes call it Zen farming. Farming unseparated from nature, right? Once you see that, there's no going back. That's the beautiful thing about truth, is once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. Because it's so true, it's so revolutionary, it makes so much sense, it's so simple that any other explanation would be complex, would be difficult to understand, would be a doctrine, would be indoctrination, would be propaganda, and would be fear. And Operation Lighthouse is concerned with ending all fear. Operation Lighthouse is concerned with ending all conflict. And that means both the conflict that I cause within the body from eating crap, right? From taking in information that God did not make, right? Or, again, consuming content, belief, but belief itself, thinking itself, not questioning thoughts itself, right? That is fear. Fear cannot arise without thought. So it's these kinds of things. But to reiterate again, to me, the three biggest ancestors that influenced my work was Dr. Sebi, Krishnamurti, and Masanobu Fukuoka, right? And again, Masanobu Fukuoka was the last piece of the puzzle. So I'm going to show you a little bit of a diagram here just to make it a little interactive and cool. I decided that it would be perfect to symbolize Operation Lighthouse as a nuclear symbol. With all this nuclear scare and this fear of things blowing up, really fission, fusion, Ra'el, compression and expansion is dielectricity and magnetism. Why are we afraid of Israel? Why are we afraid of the promised land? Why are we afraid of Eden? Why are we afraid of free energy? Right? Why are we afraid of Adam? Same word as Eden. Why are we afraid of the atom? Right? The atom's apple. And if you go into nuclear, right, you just listen to the word. It's new and clear. Right? This is what the world is afraid of. They're talking about bombs now, but it's not really a bomb. It's us. It's the explosion and the awakening of information and consciousness. Right? It's the new and the clear world that's coming through now with truth. Because you can't hide anymore. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but if you do something wrong now, you pay for it a lot more. It comes back to you quicker. It hits you harder. So, good deeds are that much better and poor deeds are that much worse. So that's what I'm seeing, right? The divide of truth and lies is getting larger and larger. So if we go here, we go into the etymology of it, and it comes to nucleus, which is often known as the center or the enter, right? In Latin, nucleus. And it comes back to the kernel of a nut, atun, right? We have Adam again there, right? Because the nut is the torus field, and it contains the information. It contains the energy. It contains the codes, right? It contains really free energy. That information is energy waiting to be freed. And so if operation were to be summed up in a nutshell, it would be a new and clear world, right? A world free of conflict, a world free of methods, a world free of idolatry, a world free of this worship, this worshiping of idols we call religion, right? The ultimate religion would be no religion at all, which means living religiously, living without image, living without image of me or the image of what I call God. What I call God is blasphemy, right? I have to keep questioning and seeing to know God. Really, God is now, right? God is the orchestra of now, right? All the musical and the harmonic and the frequencies that are going on, right? All these notes that are being played, nut and note, same word again, right? That is God and that is now. And the only place one can be religious is living now, which means I don't do something that I know is incoherent. I don't do something that I know is wrong, that I know is bad, that I know is inconsistent with my DNA, that I know is inconsistent with who I am, that is inconsistent with virtue, that is inconsistent with what is good. So, again, we're concerned with the ending of conflict, but notice how that ties in with Dr. Sebi's work, right? Which is, ending the conflict that exists within the body, right? Ending the conflict that exists in that compromised mucous membrane that's caused by acidosis. Again, the compromised mucous membrane is an effect, right? And which is really returning to the indigenous diet, is to eat foods that are not acid forming. So we have Dr. Sebi 2.0 Yaki up there. So he's showing us some of the foods we shouldn't be eating. That's even on Dr. Sebi's list. He's refining it furthermore. So honorable mention Yaki, but really goes back to the ancestor Dr. Sebi, the OG, the original, the man who showed us that as long as you're not eating in fear, as long as you love your own body, as long as you are wise, as long as you are free, you can heal yourself. As long as you are not rooted and stuck in this dependency of food that is not your food, right? So then, again, we talk about the ending of conflict, both in the body, but outside of the body, both in the mind, both in the spirit, whatever you want to talk about, and in nature. Masanobu Fukuoka had the exact same message. These are all related, guys. This is one message. So this is beyond any one of these men. This is, this is the nuclear. Again, this is the head of a comet. This is the storm. This is the infusion, but also the implosion, but also the explosion. This is the breath. This is everything. And it shows you, again, that man is incomplete, so that we must complete him. In the ending of conflict, we must, complete man. We must complete, really you could say thought, right? Right now, thought has created all of the horrible things in this world. So as Fukuoka said, nature is perfect. But we think that perverting nature by eating these foods that are inconsistent with our DNA, by thinking these thoughts and creating these concepts, that we're going to somehow free ourselves. But the reality is, when we stop doing these things, we are already free. So what we are doing is enslaving us. So this is true for natural farming, this is true for the psychological realm, and this is true for our body, right? If we realize that nature is perfect, that nature has us, that if we trust nature, nature trusts us. If we don't violate nature, nature doesn't violate us. But if we choose to violate nature, if we choose to genetically modify, if we choose to, do all these horrible things that are inevitably going to backfire, then of course nature is going to violate us. So there's that. So again, Fukuoka is saying man doesn't even create a blade of grass. Everything nature creates. Reject science. Reject man's thinking. Rejects, this so-called progress. So this is, I think, the core, the Israel, the promised land, the center, the center, the new and clear, the Operation Lighthouse in a nutshell. And this is the explosion coming at you like a head of a comet, like a head of a messenger, right? Like a head of a new age, a sign in the sky, right? This is the cataclysmic truth. Love, freedom, wisdom, right? This is all of it. And so, yeah, I just wanted to show you that, that this is kind of what I imagined in my head. And I was just thinking, again, everyone's thinking this nuclear thing, this free energy thing is such a, horrible, explosive radiation. Radiation is the best thing that ever happened. If there was no radiation, we wouldn't be alive. With the vapor canopy, by the way, archaics is another honorable mention, right? Because we're thinking in terms of reset events, right? The vapor canopy is what's going to create all this lush, dense, beautiful, volcanism, volcanic, activity, and that's the other thing is I'm really drawn to volcanoes for that reason, because all that fertility, all that amazing energy is coming out of the ground. So that's amazing. But anyhow, so yeah, those are the 3 cornerstones, I would say, to Operation Lighthouse's work. So yeah, I was thinking maybe we should start with the end, right? So really, the end goal to Operation Lighthouse would be a place free of propaganda and, in the same sense, poison, both in the mind and in the body, right? A place free of lies, a place free of doctrine, a place free of curriculum, what they're teaching you in school, right? This poisonous ideology, a place where we don't have to lie to ourselves, a place where we know who we are, right? And we don't have to second guess, right? The fact that we are fruitarian, the fact that we are frugivore, the fact that fructose is the highest electricity and frequency that can enter the body, right? That fruit sugar, that if we had a Garden of Eden with natural farming and we weren't practicing violence every day, both in the body and in the mind, that we could create a place that could heal anything, psychological, physical, physiological, or otherwise. And so, again, Operation Lighthouse is about creating a Garden of Eden for children, for our children, but also for our ancestors, right? This is not only about like this Garden of Eden project that we're bringing in now, this natural farming, Zen farming, do nothing farming project that we're bringing in now with the final piece of Masanobu Fukuoka. Not only is it for the trees to not violently prune and to misguide nature. It's not only for the trees, it's not only for the animals, not to abuse these beautiful souls that are guiding us, that are helping us, that are producing the manures, right, that are eating up certain things. It's not only about the future, but it's also about the past, because that's what the now is. That's what this present moment is. It's this endless chain. It's this endless link, right, of action or non-action, of doing things that are good or doing things that are bad, doing things that are natural or doing things that are unnatural. Every second you are, doing something or not doing something. So again, what Operation Lighthouse is about, setting up these violent free communities in Portugal and Africa first, and then everywhere else in the world, or simultaneously, right? Again, Operation Lighthouse is not just about me. You need to do it too. There's nothing more important than creating a place free of doctrine and poison and lies, right? There's nothing more important than creating a place that respects truth, that respects the inquiry, that respects the question. Because if we just question things, we wouldn't be where we are here. We wouldn't be so lost. We wouldn't be so in such cognitive dissonance. So there's that too. So anyhow, yes, so it's not just for the future, for our children. It's not just about creating the future for our children. It's about respecting our ancestors and what they've paid for their lives, and what the indigenous, native, and ancient cultures have taught us, whether it's living symbiotically with nature, whether it's eating symbiotically with nature, whether it's cultivating crops symbiotically with nature, right? It is so arrogant of us to think that we can do it better than the old ways. Of course, if we find something that's actually good for nature, that we can improve on from the old ways, that's fine. But we've come to find that natural farming, the most sophisticated way of farming, the least effort and the maximum output on the long run, right? Letting nature do her, right? Let her do what she does best, right? Is the most sophisticated and the oldest way of farming. So Masanobu Fukuoka, if you go into it, really what he's doing is he's bringing back the oldest, and the goldest and the true way of farming. The most non-interventionist way. Not this micromanaging, not this trauma programming, not this, modern day kind of parenting way this superficial care, superficial love way, this perverted way of cultivating vegetation. It's about reversing the desert, right? Again, it's about doing what our indigenous and African, or sorry, indigenous, native, and ancient people wanted us to do. And that's what see, again, it ties in with Masanobu Fukuoka. His dream was to sow seeds in the desert. His dream was to reverse the desert in India and Africa and other places. With what? Indigenous farming practices, right? But look, it ties in with the eating, and it ties in with the living, because that's what Dr. Sebi wanted us to do. He said we shouldn't be living in a world where there's jails, where there's schools, where there's prisons, where there's hospitals, right? All of the things I just mentioned, or military, all these things that I just mentioned are regimented. They have a time orientation, right? They're, your job, they're taking away your life force. They're taking away your energy. So we shouldn't have these things. We shouldn't have psych wards. We shouldn't have, pharmaceuticals. We shouldn't have prostitution. We shouldn't have police officers. We shouldn't have these things. Again, what was Dr. Sebi talking about? In the jungle, we were naked. And in that nakedness, we knew no shame. We knew no pain. We knew no hurt, because nature took care of us, because we were so symbiotic with nature. We trusted nature so much to the point where nature, again, held us. Mother Earth coddled us, and she didn't need to, we weren't so separated from her such that, we're doing all the unnatural things that we're doing now. So again, what is Operation Lighthouse at the core is to disassemble and to disintegrate all the unnatural practices of eating, living, cultivation, agriculture, teaching, learning, all of this. It's to go to the root of unnatural behavior itself. It's to go to the root of us that likes, of our thinking process that likes complexity, that likes to have some kind of complexion, that likes to have things difficult and perverted and separated and chaotic, right? We are going to root the root of the issue, and we're tackling and questioning that. And in doing so, again, we will have no choice but to make these garden, because again, if the world crashes, right? If the financial systems are gone, if money doesn't mean a thing, what really matters? We got to save Africa, folks. What really matters, and everywhere else in the world, but I think the Africas, the tropical forests of Africa, and expanding that, plus these tropical forests of the Amazon, they've been keeping us alive. They've been keeping us breathing. So that's what Dr. Sebi would want to do: return the indigenous diet to the Africans, right? To the organic race. Plus, that's what Masanobu Fukuoka would want to do: to sow seeds in the desert and to create the vegetation so we can finally harness the new and clear world, the nuclear energy, which is the plant, which is the soil. You could just cross out all this board and write soil, the sine wave of the oil, right? You can just write here Christos. You can just write here the Christ energy. If we are chemically polluting the soil, if we are ruining the earth, if we are ruining that beautiful nutrition, if we're not covering it and we're just letting it all dry, and we're letting all the minerals just go to waste and be blown away into the oceans, or to be burned up by the sun, right? And allowing all the moisture to leave so quickly, we will have nothing on this earth. And this earth will be a living hell, as you can see in many places it already is. So this is about, again, saving Africa. And in saving Africa, we will save the world, right? In saving Wakanda, in harnessing that energy by, again, natural means, by indigenous, native, and ancient living, eating, and cultivation, by treating the trees with respect and really reducing and simplifying life to, away from all these perverted desires, a life of joy and a life of necessity, right? A life of doing what is needed to be done and not pretending like we want to do like we want to go to some kind of a stupid job in the matrix, like we want to, live in this so-called sophisticated world, use all these utensils to eat, use all these dishes, have cars and go everywhere. Why can't we just be in the jungle and live like a gorilla? A gorilla don't have any depression. A gorilla don't have nutritional issues. A gorilla don't have diabetes. Why? Because, again, they're living in tune in cosmic law. It's not that we can't have technology. It's just that how we're using technology right now is so perverted and it is hurting nature. So, unless we recognize this, unless we come together and create these Edens, these Garden of Edens, unless we take responsibility, who's going to respond? No one. So, this movement is also about finding the family in spirit, finding the soul family, finding the people that realize the importance of this nuclear work, realize the importance of clearing the new, to clearing the degeneration, the conflicted nature, and the psychosis of man, to clearing the mucus out of the body, to clearing the acidosis out of the system, to clearing the unnatural agricultural practices, to clearing the crap they're putting in the soil with all these chemical fertilizers, these chemical pesticides and insecticides, these chemical and criminal practices, these artificial synthetic means of going about nature because we don't trust her anymore, right? It's about stopping all of that, clearing all of that out. And so, and I did put reset down here because this is all, ties in with, of course, Archaix's research again. This all ties in with the new world and the chosen people, right? This all ties in with the fact that, what is degenerative must be wiped away. And, I honestly think Eden is already here on the earth, right? Eden is like not only a physical place, but it's a state of mind. When you're acting so completely authentically, or, when you're going into a jungle and picking a mango, that's already a part of Eden. That's already a part of the free energy. These trees, these plants around me, nature trying to, grow back, nature trying to, fend for itself, nature's virility and life. That's already nuclear energy. That's already free energy. So it's just a matter of us getting out of her way and harnessing that, right? Letting her do what she does best. And so, we come to this point of what is it that we really need? And actually, we're already doing this right now. But we need the right people, right, who are not going to keep ingesting and consuming poisonous ideology and foods, right, that see the importance of detoxification, that see the importance of getting the poison out of the system, both in the mind but in the community, right, in the body, in the organism, that is in the individual, but also the entire nation, right, the small nation but the nation at large, and putting them on the right lands. So, with the Adamistera property, this place is going to be like a liaison. This place is going to be like a way station, transfer location. The place we have right now, we're going to call it Land AB at this point. But we're looking at lands near here, and we're thinking of doing something in this Alentejo region as well. But recently, funny enough, a new land near Coimbra, 40 minutes west of Pineal Foundation, opened up to us magically for free. So that's going to be another agricultural location that we're going to start on. And in fact, that land, there's a brother that's going to be helping us fund certain projects as well. So that's going to be very fun. It's amazing to see people coming together and things, strings being pulled, and people that are like-minded coming together. Because again, we don't have a choice, guys. We don't have a choice but to go sow seeds in the desert. We don't have a choice but to create these lush, dense, naturally farmed, diverse, soil regenerated Garden of Eden fruit forests everywhere. We don't have a choice but to realize that even permaculture is unnatural, right? That even a degree of planning is fine, but no planning at all is the way we can let nature do it in Zen. So again, it's funny how these strings are being pulled. Another random guy contacts me out of the blue, and he says, that he has another ranch in Portugal that he wants people to be put on to start working towards these Garden of Eden projects. Perhaps he'll even have some kind of a funder in Egypt wanting to do a project there. So again, we have the Adamester land here that we're using as a transfer kind of location, right? We're looking for other lands with Adamastera, right? We have, I'll call it Land S, Shai's land, that's being given to us in trust that we build a fruitarian and raw and thriving lush forest, a fruit forest there, and a generous Israeli man, a friend of the owner of that land, of Land S, is going to help us fund that. And then again, a totally random dude contacts me, and there's another ranch in Portugal that wants to be manned. There's another project in Egypt that wants to be done, as long as we have a clear vision like Operation Lighthouse does, of what it is that we need to be doing, what the problems are, and where the answers lie, right? And with Kutluhan, keep your eyes peeled, guys. This Italian natural farmer guy who showed us the video of the 20-centimeter hay and straw mulch where you don't have to water your garden anymore. Well, that guy, he's going to be doing podcasts with me soon, and we're going to do a whole bunch, a series on natural farming. And in November, if this reset event and all this kind of stuff doesn't get in our way, we are going to go to Africa and repeat what he's already been doing and start showing Kenyans how they can grow endless fruit in their tropical climate with this mulching, with this vegetable garden, with the natural farming methods. And again, we are going to go sow seeds in the desert because, ladies and gentlemen, that's the only thing left to do. There's nothing more important than fruit trees, than nature, than stewardship, right? There's nothing more important than vegetation to keep the moisture in the soil, to keep the topsoil runoff from not happening, to keep the minerals in the soil, to revitalize the life, the worms, the termites, the bugs, the birds, the animals, right? To revitalize nature. There is nothing more important than the Garden of Eden. And if you can prove me wrong, please let me know, right? So again, it's about connecting the right people with the right land, and we are in process of doing that. Every day we get new opportunities. We're going to look at a land that land near us tomorrow, the land near the Adamastera land tomorrow. On the 29th, we're going to Shai's land to figure out because we haven't even been there yet. What we can work with there, how we're going to set up the agricultural stuff there. The other thing we're going to need, again, is funding. So if you want to help us set up these land, Adamastera still would like a sponsor. We got a huge family of 5 kids, 4 that are going to stay longer term, with a family coming on May 30th. We got 2 more guys coming May 6th. We have another family coming probably by the end of this year with 4 more kids, right? They have some funds, but again, we are limited, right? We don't have that much funds. So if you want to fund Adamastera's projects, reach out to me, right? Again, there's nothing more important. We have the manpower. We have the innovative capacity. We have the handymen, right? All we need is now the means and the materials, again, to find the right land and to put the right kinds of things on it, and the right kinds of cultivation and agriculture, seeds, mulch, and building materials. Yeah? And last but not least, aerial seeding in the desert, right? that would ultimately be the fastest way we can regenerate Earth, is sowing, like Masanobu Fukuoka would have done, is sowing hundreds, if not thousands, of varieties of plants everywhere we can possibly imagine, letting the rain and protect it in clay balls so that insects and birds can't get at them, and that so that it can wait for the rain to for the germination. So these thousands of varieties, these millions of clay balls out into the desert, and let nature decide, what is best for what place. Let nature do what she does best. All we have to do is give her the seed, give her the code, give her the information. All we have to do is, like the metaphor of a mustard seed, all we have to do is put it out there. We can do it random, with no effort, just have fun. We go out there with families, with children, with parents, with grandparents, with older people. All we gotta do is diversify and rebuild this soil, cover the earth with vegetation, induce the rainfall, bring the water out of the earth. Again, Masanobu Fukuoka said water falls up, not down. All we gotta do is reverse the damage we have done to earth and sow seeds in the desert. There is nothing more important than building the Garden of Eden, communities here and there with the stars like we're doing here, but everywhere, and showing people that the indigenous and the ancient ways of eating, living, and cultivating is the only way, that we don't have a choice. Modern agriculture, modern medicine, modern this, modern that, it ain't so modern anymore. It ain't so sophisticated anymore. It ain't so sensible. It ain't so plausible anymore. So it's obvious what we have to do. The question is it obvious to you? So I think I'll leave it there. Make sure, if you have the ability to do so, you sponsor me. I got a buy me a coffee link, but please don't be drinking coffee. I put herbal teas there. Make sure you click on the membership tab and you sub there. If you are ready, willing, and able, if you can afford that. If not, send your energy and your love in other ways. And if you want to support big, if you want to support Adamistera, or especially the projects that we want to do in Africa, Adamistera in Portugal, but I'm sure we'll have an Adamistera extension in Africa as well. Contact me for that as well. Guys, this is it. This is the nuclear explosion, right? The nukes have already gone off, because the real nukes, the real new and clear 2020 vision, the clear and new world that we've entered is the world where you can't hide from the truth anymore. You can't hide when you eat acidosis causing foods anymore. You can't hide the fact that you thrive where there is nature anymore. So Operation Lighthouse is in dedication of Jiddu Krishnamurti, Dr. Sebi, and Masanobu Fukuoka, and it is about ending the degeneration and the unnatural practices once and for all. It's about ending separation and conflict once and for all. It's about saving Africa. It's about saving the world. So please, let's go together and sow seeds in the desert. I love you guys.